Hello, everyone. Thank you for being with us here today. My friend, Susanna Harkonnen, and myself have decided to kind of go a bit off the beaten track and bring you a special series that is all about mental wellness. And I know, we've been talking about mental wellness for forever with everyone stuck and since the pandemic hit and we got isolated and everything. But that is exactly why we want to be talking about this. The point is, there's so many concepts that have been thrown around, so many things that have been forced down our throats that we just actually started getting more overwhelmed talking about and trying to attend to our mental wellness, that it became a topic we don't want to address anymore. And we are intimidated by it and we are overwhelmed by the amount of options or forced options and paths that people are trying to force onto us. So we thought, let's take it a step back, literally, or maybe two or three. Let's go to the basics. Let's talk about what mental wellness is about. Let's create this special series. This could be as interactive as you would like it to be. We have ideas in our minds that we'd like to bring across, but more importantly, we are also open to discussing whatever could come to your mind and answering your questions about the concepts. So the way we wanted to structure it is conversation style. My friend Susanna here is the expert. She's the registered counselor, and that's why we wanted to bring you the science part, but simplify it. So again, what's the purpose of these special series is to talk about, address, promote mental wellness, what it means, what are the possible symptoms of that we could be kind of going through that we're not really understanding the root cause of, and more importantly, how can we move forward, or possible solutions of how we can move forward. Why are we doing this? Because we're passionate about the topic. As a professional and someone who's an expert in mental wellness in the workplace, which is the angle we want to bring to you. And workplace is not just about you being stuck in an office or in a factory, which a lot of people can't even do right now because of lockdowns and stuff. But even for myself, for example, as a solopreneur, I'm in my home office and I still need to attend to my mental wellness. Why am I in it? Well, we're going to talk about that a bit later, but I'm also a certified integrative nutrition health coach. I'm a metabolic balance coach. I say, and I am an advocate for mental wellness because I realized that was the secret ingredient and the secret sauce to my prosperity. That's where I'm unlocking a lot of possibly my blocks and my limiting beliefs and getting the support of amazing people like my friend Susanna and others who are certified mental wellness professionals and who are helping me understand not only my limitations, but also unlock my potential. Susanna, hi.
Hi there. Good to be here.
Yeah, it is. We've been working on this for a few weeks now, and we decided, okay, time to go live with this. And the way we want to do it is structure it as kind of a short conversation. We're not going to be overwhelming people again with very long conversations, but short conversations to talk about mental wellness. So let's start with the basics. What's a registered counselor?
A registered counselor, it's actually a mental health degree. So I have a master's degree in counseling from Australia, and that includes mental health aspects of it. So it's not a coaching certificate, or I just want to make that clear because there's a lot of confusion around all sorts of titles around mental health. And especially these days, we have many coaches, we have many kinds of diplomas out there. So it's important to make a difference between mental health professionals that are registered and supervised and have a certain rigorous thing to follow, and then the rest.
Yes. And I think we're going to be actually dedicating a whole episode just to that, understanding what are the different mental health professionals, their titles, their qualifications, and how they could support us. But let's start actually with what's mental wellness. When we talk about mental health and mental wellness and mental illness, I think these are also being used a lot interchangeably these days, and that's confusing people further. So let's just simplify it. Let's put some kind of clarity to those titles.
It's very true that it has become diluted, and these things, some terminology is thrown out really carelessly, and people who don't really know what they're talking about may also be using things carelessly.
Yeah.
For me, mental health and mental wellness mental health in general is a spectrum, and we all have mental health.
Yes.
It's like physical health.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really simple. You know, you're either in good health or so-so health or in bad health.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, we know when our bodies are not well,
Mm-hmm.
but we're not really used to doing the same thing with our mental health. But it's important to realize that it's a spectrum. So mental health and mental illness are something very, very different.
Yes.
And mental health at its best, it's when you thrive, when you're in the flow, when things are going for you. I wish that all of us at some point in our lives had that flow moment.
Yes, they're very rare, but they're beautiful.
They're rare, but they're beautiful. Exactly. By and large, you know, it's going from really, really being very ill.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tiny little percentage of people have mental illness or are not
Yes.
well. Going to that flow, there's a whole spectrum.
Yes.
Sometimes we feel well, sometimes we feel a little sad, sometimes we may have actually an issue that needs addressing.
Mm-hmm.
So mental health and mental wellness is a spectrum, but to me the most important point is that it's a choice. By and large, it's a choice.
By
We
and
can
large, yes.
by and
Other
large.
than the mental illness, which is diagnosable, which is treatable, which is manageable, whatever it is, and that is a whole other story that
That's a whole other story.
mental health is mainly a choice, and
Mainly
not a
choice.
choice that is inflicted onto us or that we feel that way, but a choice that we can actually do something about it.
Exactly. And it's, you know, you can choose to take care of your physical body.
Yes.
You can choose to give it good nutrition. You can choose to exercise. You can
Yes.
choose to sleep well. I mean, there are many things that we can do to our physical bodies, and those have an impact on our mental health. And we can also choose to do practices that are good for our mental health. Now, the really important point here is that there isn't one size fits all mold.
No. That's the
And
fundamentals of what I've studied.
it bothers me in this current conversation from a mental health professional perspective. We are all unique and individual.
Yes,
And
that's
what works for you doesn't work for me.
yes.
There are certain techniques and things that can be a little bit more universal. Sure.
Yes.
Certain
That
approaches.
have universal benefits, let's say that.
The universal benefits. However, we are all unique and individual, especially when it comes to mental health.
My latest certification, as you can see, I'm a person who likes to delve deep into topics. My latest certification from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition was whole person health. And when we are looking at it, we're looking at mental wellness, we're looking at physical wellness, spiritual wellness, and emotional wellness. And I think that, as you were saying, one of the basic concepts and fundamentals of what health coaching was about was talking about our bio-individuality, which means that what works for one person does not work for another, that we're all unique. I mean, we're all humans, but the way our body processes through our foods, our triggers, our environments, our relationships is unique to us. So, for example, and we were talking about this earlier, it's just even the nutrition plans and the diets that people go on. You know, one person could go on a keto diet and that they would lose, oh my God, they've lost so much weight. I tried it and my body's like, nope, can't do that much. That much fat and not, I'm a carb person. So I had to think of ways to incorporate that in a way that is healthy for me. And again, when we're talking about health and wellness, it's not what size are you? It's not your BMI. It's not how you look on the outside. It's not how tall you are. It's not again. And that for me is what triggered this journey for me is it's not about a certain or a specific job title. It's not about the amount of money you've got. It's not about, if you're married and have kids and as per societal standards, you've checked off your checklist.
Yeah.
It is very individual and unique. And every person has the right to say, I'm not fulfilled. I'm not happy. I'm not well. And now what? And I think that's why we wanted to talk about this. And now what? That you have the right to voice whatever you're going through.
I think one aspect that people these days really want, it's a natural thing, like our natural psychological thing is to avoid pain.
Yes, that's true.
We like pleasure rather than pain.
Mm-hmm.
And mental health challenges are painful.
Yes.
There's no question about that.
Mm-hmm.
However, the paradox is that the more we avoid them, the bigger they will become.
And the more deep-rooted they become.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And at the moment, what's happening with the pandemic and with many, this has become a little bit of a fashion. When I started my journey, that was a long time ago, and it was not fashionable to be into these things, alternative medicine and health and well-being and even mental health. It was like people would look at me when I said like I'm a counselor. People would go like, "Oh,
I shouldn't be talking now. I should shut up now."
They had two
That's
reactions.
again the stigma. That's the stigma that anyone admitting to or being diagnosed with any mental illness, mental health, something is like, what's wrong with you? There's nothing wrong with us. We're just humans. We've just processed our inputs and our environments in a way that does not serve us. And now it's time for us to take care of it,
Like what they say in trauma-informed therapy. I'm trauma trained, and it's one of the areas that I really think is very, very helpful when people look into their early childhood issues and their traumas. One of the premises is that the question isn't what's wrong with you, it is what happened to you.
Exactly.
But following on that one, what's happening at the moment is that there's so much anxiety. 20 to 25% of the world's population has a diagnosable mental health issue. Something where it ticks the boxes as in diagnosis, whether it's depression, anxiety, bipolarity, substance abuse, things like that. Now with COVID, it has doubled roughly, depending on which statistic you look at. But let's say it's roughly doubled. It's half of the world's population, at least, and even those that are doing well are often struggling. And so we are luckily, in a way, in this position. Luckily and unluckily in a position where we can finally talk about these things and address these things for real. But now what's happening is that people who haven't had maybe these sorts of issues in the past are overwhelmed and just want a solution at any cost, and that is something that's counterproductive to mental health, mental wellness.
Yeah.
You can't ignore I'm taking a parallel again with the physical body. If you ignore your body, you don't exercise, you eat badly, and you're a couch potato, it will have an impact. It will have consequences. Yes. The same applies for mental wellness. And quick fixes don't do it.
Band-aids.
So you haven't been doing things for years, and then you go to the gym every day and do a 3-hour workout. Yes, you will be in pain.
Yes. And it's about the Band-Aid mentality. I think we've been conditioned, again, because it's the fast and immediate and instant gratification. It's about slap a Band-Aid on it. If I can't see it, then it's not happening. But even one of the fundamentals of functional medicine, for example, it's not about the symptoms. So if my arm is hurting me, I don't just go to a doctor that just deals with bones and or nerves. No, I go to the root cause. And the root cause is, let's see what other symptoms or how I'm feeling or whatever else is being triggered in the body. And then you will find that it could be a kidney issue, for example. It has nothing to do with the arm. And that's the thing. We have been accustomed to Band-Aids. And as you were saying, like, for example, with a lot of substance abuse, that is about it. I'm trying to get out of how I'm feeling now at whatever cost. Yet I'm not addressing what it is that is doing that. And for me, for example, for a lot of the times, I used to call myself both a perfectionist and a workaholic. And it was it was masking everything else. If I'm so obsessed doing this, I'm not thinking of everything else that is happening. It's just I'm kind of fixating on something. But again, I think a very important point I think we also need to highlight here is, as you were talking about the spectrum, it is actually normal to go along the spectrum, possibly from one day to another or 1 week to another or something. It's not like there's an end goal, you reach that, I'm well, and then nothing was going to get to me. I think we do get our dips and stuff, but with more awareness and with, I call it our arsenal of tools and strategies, then you can kind of tip the balance to your favor faster.
And it's funny, sometimes I get people talking to me and saying like, oh, but you're a therapist, and they expect that my life is perfect. And I have no challenges.
You're in euphoria all the time.
There isn't such a thing. We will continuously work on ourselves.
Yeah.
What is the key about to mental wellness is that awareness of your trigger points and of yourself that then enables you to maybe find tools that enable you to process things quicker. At certain points in time, you may need therapy. Another, you may need yoga can help you. A diet can help you. The holistic approach is the best.
Yes.
It's by and far the best, because that is enables to address several points at the same time. It's like building a foundation that's stronger because you have more elements on it.
And coherent.
And coherent, yeah. And now what I see as a danger at the moment, and this is also one of my reasons why I want to talk about this, is that it has become hugely fashionable to do these things, do mental health, mental awareness, and whatever you have, it can be called many names. It is a huge market. It is a massive market, and it appeals to our primitive emotions of wanting to avoid pain. So when you see these 5 steps to better mental wellness, or get over this in a weekend, or do this 8-week mastermind to feel better, of course it appeals to people, because it says, okay, I can fix myself real fast. Yeah. But you can end up spending thousands and thousands of dollars or whatever currency you use in doing things that may not really actually move you further. We will mask the pain.
That's true.
But you need to be really careful with what you do. I mean, there are certain things that can help you, but it's not just that the shiniest object or the most popular thing will fix it, or one thing will fix it.
That's a thing I actually wanted to say, that you could do the work, and yes, you could, kind of enroll in the 8-week mastermind and start to feel better. But the amazing part is you're going to be unveiling the next layer, and then that's where it starts all over again. And I think I was telling you about this analogy. I've been fascinated with butterflies, and I thought, I'm fascinated by how it starts as a caterpillar, goes into the cocoon, becomes a gooey mess inside, and comes out as a butterfly. And in my mind, it was like, okay, so I'm working towards my butterfly phase. And then I realized that the butterfly phase is actually just one part. It's one milestone. And then I needed to go back to the cocoon, to the gooey mess, and then come out again, and then go back again. And it became this cycle of transformation and evolution, and realizing and healing and realizing further of my potential. I've become fascinated with the idea that there is no end line, and I'm not trying to reach anything. I'm just uncovering the next step in my path. I'm just realizing the next milestone. And that in itself made the journey a lot more fulfilling, actually, could be a word. It's messy, it hurts, it's gooey in the inside, but I come out on the other side better equipped to understand myself. And I think when we start doing that, when we go inward, the outward becomes a lot more interesting. Let's just keep it at that.
Yeah, and in real life, the butterfly actually doesn't live for very long.
No. Yeah, that's the point. And that's what I'm like, no, I want this phase to stay longer.
But the benefit of working on yourself is the fact that it gets easier and easier to dive heads on into that pain.
That's true.
Or it's less scary. Maybe not easier. Let me take that one back. Yeah. But it becomes less scary. You know that you have the resources, and you know that I shall overcome this.
That's true.
And this is something that I wish for more people, because the more you can tackle something heads on in that cocoon, in that messy cocoon, the faster you can usually shift it. It's in that avoidance of our issues.
And we'll be talking about that for sure.
That things get a little.
Okay, so I wanna sum up this kind of intro into why we're doing this and everything with the relationship part at the end. We are relating mental wellness and putting it into the context of our work environment. Now, talk to us a bit about, I know you've got scary statistics in this area, but talk to us a bit about the statistics, but also the part about the impact, why we wanted to focus on the work environment and the workplace.
Well, I'm passionate about workplace well-being, have been ever since I started my first job. Mm-hmm. I have a business degree as well, and I studied management and leadership. And when I went to my first work, or for my first job, I was shocked. I was really shell-shocked by what I saw and experienced. Mm-hmm. Because it had nothing to do with the ideals and the management books that I had written.
Not what they teach us in the books, for sure.
Yeah, nobody had forewarned me and at all of what was waiting for me. And ever since then, I had this thing about this discrepancy, like, why is this happening? And the world of work actually has become, with statistics and anything that you want to measure it with, it has become worse over the past 30 years. More intense, more stressful. There's roughly 10 to 13% of people that are actually feeling well at work.
Wow, which means approximately 90% aren't.
I think that the official statistic is something like 60 to 70 are not, and then the rest is somewhere in between.
And you've worked with organizations such as the UN and ILO and everything, International Labour Organization. So you've worked on international, it's not, your statistics and your experience is not just centralized in one area or one country. You've worked across the globe, literally.
Yeah, I've worked across the globe and worked with mental wellness, workplace well-being and working conditions and things like that. So I have a fairly good idea of how that works around the world. I've also done research in that area. And I am passionate about it. I can see from my private clients and people that I work with in organizations how poorly people are equipped to handle their challenges at work. And how it's rare actually these days to come across a person who says, oh, I love my job. I have great colleagues. I have a great boss. Even if they have one of those things, I love my job, or I have a great boss, or I have great colleagues. That's one thing is already good. Those three, it's incredibly rare to come across that. And I think that it says a lot about the world today. Burnout rates have skyrocketed.
Yes.
And even and things that are even way worse have skyrocketed. And not only because of the pandemic. We were already in a bad place before that. Very, very bad place in terms of workplace well-being. But then we were not allowed to talk about it. About a year ago, I needed to talk about stress.
Yeah, that was the ultimate result.
That was the ultimate
work would do for you, being burnt out and stressed. That's it. Let's stop there. Exactly. But I think that's the point, and that's why we wanted to make this link. It's workplace could impact, or an unhealthy work environment could impact your mental well-being and mental wellness, and the other way around. When you're not mentally well, you would bring your issues and your projections into the workplace, and that would cause a further down spiral for you and others around you.
Absolutely.
So you can't isolate your personal life and whatever is going on when you walk into the work. And then the other way around, once you get out of work, you can't say, okay, I used to have this when in my last corporate job, and talk about being stressed out and burnt out and totally not well on so many levels, that for me it would manifest physically. So I've got those psychosomatic symptoms, that everything that was happening. And the comment and the advice I used to get was like, just, hang all the work issues at the door once you go
right.
home. And I'm like, seriously? Like, who can do that? I mean, yes, I'm much better equipped now to do a certain percentage of that. I can carry out a certain percentage of, I call it putting up my brick walls and my firewalls and kind of that deflecting that kind of energy that I do not want going through me. But we're not equipped that way. We are not taught that in school. We are not advised that at work. But then again, why should we have to do that if we're all kind of, working towards our mental wellness in the workplace and elsewhere?
if people did their inner work, if they went inside and really looked into what's triggering me and why do I behave this way, that would have a huge impact on our side, on our society, and in situations at work.
Yeah.
We have a lot of wounded people working together and rubbing their wounds against each other's wounds. Yeah. And that is unfortunately the way, I mean, this current trend of doing something with yourself, it's very good in itself. I'm not saying that you shouldn't try to go for some positive psychology things or mindfulness. All those things are really good. You have to start somewhere.
Yes.
It's important to do that, but the more you can get real and the more you can go in depth, the more you reap the benefits. So, if you rest on the surface, that's where it can be a little bit tricky. And that's why I'm advocating more the real deep inner work, because that yields the more sustainable benefits in the long run.
I think we're going to have an interesting journey of uncovering and simplifying, and I think that is what we wanted to do. It's just bring the facts forth, the understanding, simplifying the understanding without the frills and the everything else that comes with it that just kind of really overwhelms us. And we're hoping that people will, as you said, stop, think, reflect, analyze, and realize, where do I go from here? But more importantly, that part of that journey of where do I go from here involves a professional certified mental health professional. So they can support them along the way, because it's not just about the band-aid of I want to feel good now. It's about I want to feel good now, but I also need to understand and heal whatever's not making me feel good now at this point. And that needs a back dive into our history.
I think that all kinds of professions that can make you move forward are helpful.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And there is a place and time for all of them. It's just a matter of knowing when to look for help, actual professional help, or when to go for coaching, or when to do your own little thing, or when when meditation will be the
when breathing, when yoga, when energy healing, when sound therapy,
podcast,
exactly.
it really is a matter of understanding what moves the needle.
Yes.
I'm really all for progress, and that progress happens differently at different times. We'll do an episode about the actual differences between, for example, coaching and counseling, or when to look for spiritual healing or for therapy, like counseling. And when I say counseling, I mean psychological help.
Yes.
I'm a counselor, but there are many other people doing, providing mental health.
And we're going to be talking about that next in our next episode, just kind of explaining to people. So so we're going to start with that awareness. And with awareness comes the path, at least looks a bit more clearer. Your steps are a lot more constructive towards your overall well-being, without feeling that you are not doing enough. You're always doing enough. Even if you just started the awareness process, that is more than enough. Well, Susanna, thank you. We're going to see you in our next episode. We're going to be seeing you on our next episode. And please do write to us, share, comment, like, whatever you want to do. Just make sure you're getting the maximum benefit out of this. Thank you so much, and see you next time.